Bob?
Yes, thanks, John. A question about Afghanistan. In trying to understand sort of the sequence of events as the U.S. military winds up its activities in Afghanistan, when the Resolute Support Mission when General Miller leaves, will that mark the end of Resolute Support Mission, or will there be some sort of interim kind of period between the next several days or weeks and September when there will be some other commander or some other mission follow-on?
Yeah, Bob, I don't want to get too far ahead of process here. Resolute Support, as you know, is a NATO operation, so it's really more appropriate for NATO to speak to the future of Resolute Support. But it is my understanding that with the completion of the retrograde of U.S. forces, retrograde withdrawal of U.S. forces from Afghanistan, with accepting, of course, whatever's left behind to protect our diplomatic presence, that does not necessarily mean the end of Resolute Support. But really, that's a question better posed to NATO.
But the U.S. is part of NATO, and you're part of the mission. So
correct.
Will you continue to operate in some way after the retrograde is finished?
When the withdrawal is complete, our mission transitions in two ways. One, to whatever U.S. forces are in Afghanistan are there to protect the diplomatic presence, and you know, there's a lot of pieces to that, but it's really about protecting the diplomatic mission. And two, our bilateral relationship with Afghan forces shifts to one of financial and logistical support from outside the country.
But try to think in terms of when the U.S. war in Afghanistan ends. Is it the same as saying when Resolute Support ends, or is there going to be a sort of a separate U.S. function in the war?
Well, I mean, again, the removal of combat forces, which is what the retrograde is all about, ends the combat mission in Afghanistan for the United States. And what's left, again, is enough force posture to protect our diplomatic presence. And that's going to be the focus of U.S. forces in Afghanistan once the withdrawal is complete. I think, you know, the best way to do this is to go back to the president's order, which is to withdraw all U.S. combat forces from Afghanistan. That's what the retrograde's all about. And when that's complete, that mission is complete. And we transition to two new missions, protecting our diplomats and transitioning to a new bilateral relationship with Afghanistan.
And you'll announce the end of the retrograde?
We'll be as transparent as we possibly can.
Hey, John, along the lines of financial and logistical support, the Afghan press is saying that the U.S. will provide 37 additional Blackhawks to the Afghan military and 2 fixed-wing aircraft. Can you say anything about that?
No, I've seen the press reports on that, Tom. I'm not in a position to confirm that level of detail. Again, what we've said before is that we're going to continue to support them over the horizon in a logistical capacity, and certainly in a financial way. I've got nothing on those specifics in terms of the numbers of aircraft.
Well, can you say anything about you expect additional aircraft to go to the Afghan military?
Honestly, those kinds of details are still being worked out, Tom, and I just think it's too soon to say with any great specificity right now in terms of aircraft transfers. Carla Babb.
Hey, John. Thanks for doing this. I have 2